Hey guys, it's SGT Nickel here again, and today I'm going to be cleaning my shotguns. I was at the range today doing trap shoot, so I've got a few guns to clean. I'm going to go over them. First one's Remington 870, the next is a side-by-side coach gun, and then after that I've got my over-under Maverick. So basically the things you're going to need are a few tools. To start out with, you're going to need this cleaning bore snake. You can use a bore brush and a bore swab, but this is all in one tool, very easy. I like these better just because they're simple. You can roll them up and they compact easily. You can keep them anywhere. They don't take up a lot of room. So I like having the bore snake over your bore rod. With shotguns, you don't need that many tools to clean. I've got a hammer and a punch. I'm going to go over that with the 870. It's basically all I'll need this for. Other than that, you don't need too many tools. You're going to need a choke key if your shotguns have chokes. You'll need one of them. Toothbrush is a nice thing to think about having. They're good to get in the nice crevasses and areas where it's hard to clean. Get the rag in, you can get a toothbrush. A rag for cleaning, wiping, oiling. Going to need that. You're going to need either oil or a cleaner. I've got Hops number 9. It's a perfect shotgun cleaner. And other than that, the keys to the trigger locks, if your laws where you are need trigger locks. I'm in Canada, so I've got my trigger locks and my keys, because when I finish cleaning them up, they're going to get locked up and put away. So anyway, the first one I'm going to go over is the Remington 870. It's a little length here. It's got a few more parts that come apart. I'm going to completely dismantle it by unthreading this. This just comes off, and you want to put everything in order as you take it apart. So I'm just going to set this right here. The barrel comes off, just sits here. We're going to take the slide out. Just by pushing your button here, you can pull out the whole slide. And on there, you're going to have a bolt and a bolt carrier. So you can see it'll come out just like that. You've got your bolt and your bolt carrier. And then you've got your rails. If this is dirty, you'll want to clean out inside here. Just give that a quick cleaning. The best way to do it is run your tube snake right through there. So we just quickly drop this in there and just pull it through. That just gives it a quick little clean. That can now sit aside. We're done with the pump slide. Next thing is your barrel. Now in here you've got this little groove where your shell casing sits. You're going to want to get a toothbrush into here and clean out there, because you get a lot of crud. So you're going to want to make sure you spray there and then spray the inside of the barrel. First thing you do is you run the choke through, you run your snake through with the choke in first. And you clean this like so. Very simple. So keep your choke in and you run your snake right through the barrel. That's got the barrel cleaned out. You can always look in there. You'll see inside here, it's very, very shiny. That's how you want it to look. You don't want to see any dust and crud built up in there. Then you just take this, just scrub out the breach with your toothbrush, and you can go around to the inside and just give it just a quick little wipe. That's all it takes. And then take your rag and just wipe the outside of your barrel. All you're doing is just getting any excess oil away. And just give your barrel a bit of a buff and set it down. So that part's done. Now you're on to the gun aspect. Now with the gun, you've got these two little pegs here. All I'm going to do is take my punch. I'm going to set this on here. Now what you can do, and I do recommend this if you don't want to scratch your gun, take your punch and you wrap it in the cloth. And then you just push. And if you have trouble getting the punches through, that's where the hammer comes in. Just give it a light little tap. Don't want to hit them too hard or you'll damage the areas here. Once you've got them, you're going to pull these pegs out, just like that. So I've got the two pegs out, and your trigger grouping comes out just like that. And you want to look it over, make sure there's not a lot of powder on there. If it's got a lot of powder, you might want to take a toothbrush, just clean off some of the parts. You can drop some oil onto the areas where you think it needs it, but you want it sort of dry. If you have too much oil in there, you're going to end up just causing it to gum up even more. The powder likes to stick to oil, especially the sort of the powder residues. So the drier it is, the less likely you're going to have stuff gumming up in there. So it's going to increase the length of the life of your gun. So we've got the trigger grouping out. Now what we do is we take the rag and we just give it a little wipe out on the inside. And you got to be careful doing this because there's a spring here that's connected to the side of the shotgun. And the thing about that is you don't want to bend it when you're wiping the rag. You don't want the rag to catch that and bend it. That'll really mess up the operation of your gun. So when you wipe it, wipe from the front to the back across it. You don't want to get the rag in underneath it, otherwise you catch it and bend it, and that'll wreck your gun. So that's simple. Now you got this little thing here that holds your spring. You're going to want to turn it halfway so it comes right out. And then that's your spring. Pushes against your magazines, and then in here is a little plastic thing which you're going to have to do the same thing with. Play with it so it comes out. There, now you got it. And that you want to clean up with the rag too, because what happens is you got a lot of powder gumming up on your plastic guy, and he actually will get jammed in there if you have a lot of it. And then when it gets jammed in there, you'll end up with your rounds getting caught up inside your tube, and it's just not going to cycle properly. With this, over time, it's going to get a little compressed. You just give it a light little pull. Don't pull it too much, or you'll end up distorting the shape of your spring. And then you just drop it back in there, and as you can see, we're sticking out the top. You want that, because this guy is going to sit on top, just like so. So he's floating. And then you're going to find your grooves properly, and then just turn it like that, and we're good to go. So we're back together. So next thing is we clean the bolt. You just take this, you can give it a little bit of spraying with hops. Give it a wipe. Just make sure that it's clean and your extractor is free. You want to make sure this guy moves and snaps back into place. He's not damaged or anything like that. You want to make sure there's not any, like, yeah, if you find burrs or weird pieces hanging off it, just basically just check it over. You probably won't have any problems, but if you notice anything wrong with it now, this is a good time to look, and then you can get the gunsmith to double check it for you if you're not sure. So anyway, that's your button for your firing pin. You just want to make sure it moves, snaps back out, things like that. Just make sure it's in good condition. Then you just take your bolt carrier and you just want to just clean it of any residue. And now your gun's clean. So you're going to want to put it back together. And I find the best way to put it back together is put it back the way sort of that you took it apart. So we're going to put the trigger grouping back on first. And that just goes like that. You slide her in, and then you just find your holes, you line your pegs up, and I find just a light little tap. You can always use your rag if you want. And just tap it in like that. If you do it really gently, you're not going to damage your gun. And it works very well. So we got the trigger back in. Now we are going to, sorry, I forgot about the choke very quickly. So we just take the choke. We're just going to take that out very quickly. This is something that you want to do on every time you shoot. You just want to make sure your choke's tight in there. What happens is vibrations. You can get the choke actually working itself free. And as you can see, the choke will get very dirty also. So this is a time where you might want to just give it a wipe down. I just like to take it out, check it over, look at the threads, and just give it a clean. And then you'll slide her back in there. So that's the choke. Make sure it was black, it's now silver. And then you just drop her back in the barrel. Now, I recommend that you never run the tube snake through with the choke out. What happens is you get crud dropping off and building up on those threads, and then when you thread this back in, it just, in my opinion, it's just not very good for the threads. I think it's best to keep the choke in there, run the bore snake through, take the choke out after, clean the choke, and then just put it back in there. Other people might disagree, they might have their way, but in my opinion, I think this is the best way to do it. So, anyway, then just snug her in. So, we're good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my slide back together just by taking this. You drop this back in how it was. Make sure it's not backwards. So, it'll sit like this. Notice those notches in the back. And then the extractor. That's your front. Face it towards the pump, so it just sits like that. And then you grab this, you slide it on, and this is where it gets tricky. There's two little slot grab things on the insides of here. You have to go to the right side first. You just hold that there, and then you go to your left side and clip it. And then it all slides in. And when it goes in, you're going to have to push this button to get it all the way in. And then you can put your barrel on. The barrel just snaps on. If you're going to change out the barrel, this is the time to do it. But just slaps on. And we're back together with this one. So I'm just going to grab my Remington trigger lock here. Very quickly. We're going to close the action. We're empty. And the trigger lock goes on. And it's tamper free. No one can open it. Nobody can load it. That's what I like about the Remington 870 and this special trigger lock is that when it's on, you cannot open it. You cannot access the button to open it. And it's unloaded. So it's tamper free. Nobody can come in, muck around. They can't put around it and then put it back up on the shelf. It's flawless. It's a great design. Most guns, you put the trigger lock on there and you can still load it. It can be dangerous if you don't really know what you're doing. That's really what I like about this one trigger lock that comes with the 870. Anyway, just thought I'd quickly go over that. So, we're one gun down. We're ready to go on the next. So we're on to the Guacci Stoger imported coach gun. This one's really simple. What you have is a piece here that you grab, take off the beaver tail forearm grip. It's just going to sit there. You don't need to do anything with that unless you want to buff it or put some oil on the wood, but I think it's fine. So there's this lever here. You open it, you're just going to take that, and the gun's going to fall apart. Now it's in two pieces. So what you do is you just take this, just give this a little wipe down. You can put some oil on it if you want to. I like my guns drier unless I'm putting them in storage. So I'm going to be using this next week. So it's just going to get dried out and put away. So that's that. Take my spray here, spray out the inside. And because I was using both barrels, I'm going to clean both barrels. Very similar to the last gun that I showed you. Only this one is, in my opinion, a little simpler because there's less to take down. And the over-under, the other one I'm going to show you is very similar to this principle, only it has chokes. This one doesn't. So, voila. We got that out. Now it's time to get your toothbrush. So you just give it a little brush down these crevasses in here. And you get in here and get some with the toothbrush just to clean out the crevasses. And then to put it back together, it's just a very simple, snaps back together like that. And you drop there. And then give it a quick little wipe down with the rag, and we're clean. Very simple with that one. So, once again, we're going to put the trigger locks on it, because we are here in Canada. And all right. Now, we're on to this one. The Maverick over under, also unloaded, and take it. There's a lever here. This just drops out. Once again, you just set that over the side. There's really no cleaning to that part. Just take it apart. Once again with that lever. All you're going to do is you're going to find that rag that I had, just right here. You're just going to clean out in here. Make sure it's clean. Put this down. Now you're to your barrels. You're just going to take these, you're going to spray them out. And with the other one too, there's these extractor piece. And this one slides up and down. You're going to want to make sure it's got some lube and clean. So I like to put some hops on the outside and just wiggle this back and forth, just so it's got some play in it. And actually, it's sort of a test you can do is make sure it's loose enough. If you grab it and you just drop it, and if it drops out, we're good. Just like that. That's loose enough. And then give her a wipe down. We're going to run the barrel snake through both barrels again. And then we're going to pull the chokes out on this one. And because the top choke is a modified and the bottom choke is an improved cylinder, or IC, we want to make sure that we don't mix them up. So we have to make sure they go back together the same way. Otherwise, next time when I'm shooting at the trap house or whatever, my patterns are going to be a little bit different and I won't be as consistent. So that's pretty important. And pretty much with these guns, just with the toothbrush, you'll want to go into all the crevasses again and just clean everything out. I like to actually go into the chamber and just give it a brush just across like that. Then go in with the rag and just give it another clean. And then with this, we're going to pull these two chokes out and just give them a quick clean. And once again, always run the tube snake through before the chokes come out. Then you clean your chokes and just put them back in. And you might be curious whether these chokes are interchangeable with the Remington. The answer is no. Pretty much most guns will make chokes for their guns. You can't take chokes out of one gun and put them in another unless it specifically states it. But generally speaking, Remington, Mossberg, they're different chokes. I'm willing to bet though this would fit Mossberg chokes because Maverick is made by Mossberg, but I don't know that for sure. I'm just going out on a limb there, and I'm just guessing. I really should find that out actually. So what I did is we cleaned those. The first one was the top, the second one was the bottom. There we go. 4 is improved cylinder. So that's all, I just slide it back in. This one was top. And I'll just throw this back together. We'll put a trigger lock on it. And that's pretty much what we got going. Just a real simple job. Doesn't take very long. But it's actually very important because if you don't keep your guns clean, you're going to have more malfunctions. I don't have any semi-auto shotguns. Maybe that will be the next purchase. But these are the shotguns I do have. These are the shotguns I usually do use. And this is the basic video on how to clean them. So, as you can see, all guns are now clean, put away, trigger locked, and most importantly, very clean. Thanks for watching.